I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Season 1, Episode 16. Last episode we had a dance between Stark and Fern.
And
was
I
lovely.
loved it.
It was lovely. How could you not love it?
I would be surprised to meet someone who would say...
hate somebody who didn't like it. You know?
I think I would be really suspicious of them. I would feel like they are lying to me and themselves.
Yeah. They need character development if they didn't love last episode.
But you gotta give people room to have their own character development, their own growth. Right?
Psh, no. No way. I imagine that we're probably leaving Lord Orden, right?
Yeah.
And moving on with our journey.
I would say especially because of Stark and Lord Orden's conversation after the ball. It was like I can't replace your son. You can't replace my father. I already have a father figure who raised me, and I want to bring him back stories.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be comfortable in terms of finance for a little bit going forward.
I want to know what grimoire Frieren ended up picking.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Sign as a kid?
Looks like it. A photo? Do you think Sign still has the photo?
The start of our legend.
Wow.
Come on, they're setting us up to find out the truth about the friend, whether he's dead or not. Sign believes he must be dead because of all the years that have passed.
I can't hear you.
The idea of taking a photo with a camera, even though you don't know what a camera is, goes with not having a reason or an end goal for an adventure. The purpose of an adventure is the adventuring.
I'm like, why was the mage the one who had to take the photo? Like, is it like
Magic
something
camera.
that has to do with magic?
I think so.
400年近く村を守ってきたドワーフだからね。の寿命ってどのくらいでしたっけ？
Yes, what is the life expectancy?
Oh!
藤井って言ってね。
Old Man
私
Vol.
の長寿友達。死ぬ前にはこんな寄り道があってもいいかもしれません。くらい滞在しちゃおうかしら。1週間までですよ。
That was amazing.
フォルジー。久しぶりだ。歴戦の老戦士って感じでかっこいいでしょ。
老戦士ってレベル。
誰だったかな。
ヨボヨボじゃねえか。
フリーレンだよ。
うん。だな。
まだボケたふり続けているの？
Oh!
Still pretending.
のシーン人にもこれが一番効く。
Mm.
てんだろう。熟練した戦士でも簡単に致命傷を負う。
I love the theme of deception, you know?
足を失っていたぞ。
相変わらず卑怯な戦法だね。
ゆっくりしていってくれ。
待ってフリーレン。歩けない。
Gotta use your magic again.
ついでに稽古。
Oh! Whoa. Wow.
依頼を引き受けてくれる人がいなかったから助かったよ。
おせすることがないので。
フォルジーさんに友人がいたとはな。楽しそうに話しているのは初めて見たよ。普段は会話すらままならない。
Little do you know.
昔から村を魔物や魔族から守ってもらっているが、守り神みたいなもんさ。
ずっと孤独だったんですね。
Cute. I love that it's another dwarf too, like Eisen for Stark.
Just carrying him out. Whoa. What a badass, dude. Look at his beard.
Frieren is so happy.
She's glowing.
楽しい時間だったよ、フォルジー。今ではとても感謝しているんだよ。私がヒンメルたちを知る機会をくれたから。
ポルジーはなんでこの
昔の話だ。どうでもいいだろう、そんなこと。
人はどうでもいいことに命をかけない。
わしは妻の愛した村を追っているだけだ。人間だった。遠い昔に交わした約束を果たしているに
He
過ぎ
was human. And he
だが
lives
詳しく
300
話すつ
years.
もりはない。せあの人の顔も声も眼差しも伝わる。
That is the most romantic thing I've ever heard
わしだけの
in my entire life.
I couldn't adequately describe.
滑稽な話だろう。わしはずっと死者との約束を守っている。
そうだね。でもきっとその人はあなたが約束を守ってくれていることを嬉しく思っているはずだ。
お前はいい勇者だ。魔王を打ち倒すだろう。魔王が撃たれた平和な時代が訪れるのをヒンメルという偉大な勇者の記憶もわしが見。
ありがたい話だけれども、そこまでしてもらう必要はないかな。
He has Frieren
こ
for
のパ
that.
ーティーにはフリーレンもアイゼンもいる。
俺は得るほど長生きせんぞ。
ならフリーレンの役目だな。彼女が未来に連れて行ってく
Oh
れ
my god.
そうだろ。
別にいいけど。
仲間に恵まれたな。
じゃあ後でフリーレンに出したイケメンポーズ集を見せないとな。
やっぱり覚えるのやめようかな。でもやっぱりイケメンポーズ集はいらなかったかな。記憶の無駄遣いだ。
その勇者の顔は覚えているか。
当たり前でしょ。
声は。
私をバカにしないでよ。全部覚えている。ヒンメルは私が人間を知ろうとしたきっかけだよ。ポルジーが村を守ろうと思ったきっかけと同じで大切なことだ。
そうか、きっかけか。わしはもう思い出せない。顔も声も大切な何かのためにこの村を守っている。
ポルジーは冗談がうまいね。
お前たちの旅の目的地はどこなんだ。
オレオールを目指しているよ。
それはどこだ。
エンデ、魔王城がある場所だよ。
ついに魔王を倒しに行くのか。平和な時代が訪れるといいな。
ポルジー、魔王はもう
どうした。
私が未来に連れて行ってあげるからね。
うん、それも悪くはないな。人生の最後にお前に会えてよかった。
10年前も同じこと言っていたよ。じゃあね、ポルジー。
フリーレン、妻の夢を見た。
そう。
昔話をしたおかげかもしれんな。
それじゃ。
I'm so sad. I'm so happy.
人探しだよ。俺の旅の目的はこっちだ。10年前に旅に出た親友と合流することだ。
そういえばそうだったね。
新か、珍しいな。
Oh my god. Tell me more.
村に来た魔法使いに取ってもらったんだ。
足取りはつかめているの？
Do you think it was
俺
like
たちが通ってきたのは
printed onto the
諸国の深海の
glass?
街道だ。もう目撃情報があった。
Okay.
このまま北上で問題ないだろうな。
10年前だろ。よく目撃情報が残っているな。
特徴的だからな。インパクトが強い。
なんて名前なんだ？
戦士ゴリラだ。
うん。
Yeah. No more explanation needed.
本当に親友だったのかよ。
戦士ゴリラって呼んでたしな。あ、というか、あいつがそう
He
呼ばせてい
made
た。
them call him that.
どういう状況なの？
ちなみに俺は僧侶あごひげ。
聞いてねえよ。
顎ひげ生える前からそう呼ばれてた。この話題続けるんですか？
Frieren's so intriguing to me too.
戦士ゴリラって名前だけ分かれば十分だ。あいつはどうせ必ずそう名乗る。 ああ、
Yeah.
変なやつなんだ。
I think you guys would like him. I think he'd like you guys.
感もあるけど、いよいよ魔法都市オイサーストだね。
Oh!
本当に長い道のりでしたね。なんで私を見るの？何も悪いことしてないよ。
集落に寄っていいか。ここで街道がいくつかに分岐するから。
私たちも休みたいし。
10年前にゴリラって名乗る人来なかった？
すげえ質問だな。ああ、戦士ゴリラ様ですね。インパクトがすごかったので覚えています。
Just as he said.
村の近くに出た魔物を退治してくださいました。
どこに向かったかわかるか？
どうでしたかな。高台に住んでいる頑固ばあさんと仲が良かっ
An
た。
older woman.
聞いてみるといいでしょう。
頑固ばあさん。
わしは頑固者でのそう簡単に教えられん。
自分で頑固って
どうすればいい？
I feel like Stark is the reactor of this
わ
episode.
しの依頼をいくつかこなしてもらおう。手紙を届けてもらおうかの。
まるでお使いだな。
Oh
ヒ
no.
ンメルとの旅を思い出すね。こんなこともされていたんですか？お使いみたいな人助けは日常茶飯事だったよ。地物や厄介な魔物退治に発展していくんだよね。
あ不吉なこと言う。
頑張っておばあさんの心を開こう。
I wanted to see Frieren open another
Open the chest.
chest. Look at that! It's big. What the fuck?
おばあさん全然心開かねえぞ。
さすが頑固ばあさんなだけあるな。
She has to live up to her name.
ね、ヒンメルやハイターだったら半日くらいでこのパーティー不器用な
Stop! Stop!
うん、
That's too good.
最後だ。峡谷にある英雄の像を
The
磨
hero
くんだ。
statue.
ついてきな。案内する。
Which hero?
に世界を救ったとされる
ああ
英雄様の石像。名前もわからん。忘れられた英雄さ。
忘れられた英雄か。
ところであんた僧侶あごひげだろ。
なんで知ってるんだ？
僧侶。
Intro, right?
だいぶ古いものだね。
Priest and a
なん
warrior.
だかザイン様とゴリラ様に似ていますね。というか戦士の方、見覚えがあるね。クラフトだ。
It looks like craft.
本当だ。
He did say that
です。
What?
he said that he had done things in the past that no one would remember.
なるほど。この人はクラフトって名前なんだな。こっちは？
そうね、知らない。
そうか。
この像は
俺たちにそっくりだろ。大昔の英雄だって話だ。もう誰も名前すら覚えちゃいねえ。俺たちはこうはならねえ。忘れ去られるだなんてごめんだ。勇者ヒンメルみたいな忘れられない英雄になる。
どんな英雄でもいつかは忘れ去られます。きっと魔王を倒した勇者ヒンメルも例外ではないでしょう。
さすがに無理な話だ。
It has to be him in the intro, standing in front of that
俺
statue.
を鍛えればこれくらいいくかな。戦士ゴリラ。俺は今日からそう名乗る。
なんでだよ。
忘れられない英雄を目指すなら名前のインパクトは大事だろ。
Easy to remember. Leaves an impact.
確かにそうですね。ではあなたは
I love that he was given the name. It answers Frieren's question too before he even had a goatee.
きっと似合いますよ。あごひげ。
Does Sign have a goatee because of
やっ
that?
と終わった。大変だった。
It's kind of like time travel. Like it's a fixed point. You know, it needed to happen.
ゴリラにも同じ。あいつはここまでうまくはできなかった。
あいつは戦いしか取り柄がない。
でも名前のインパクトはバッチリだったよ。ゴリラはあんたのことよく話してたよ。一緒にずっと歴史に名を残すような。
He was there standing in front of that statue at some point, just like in the opening.
Do you think that there's a spell to find someone? Like you know?
ゴリラの行き先わかった？
テューは 北側諸国中部の交易都市だ。
から遥か東方
It diverts
Oh,
from where they're
no.
going.
反対方向だね。
ああ、
Oh no.
どうしたもんかね。
Okay, that was Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Season 1, Episode 16. I don't know where to start in talking about things that I loved from this episode. The first one is, I'm just going to start because it's on my screen, or on the screen, right? The idea of photography in this world and what that is. This is so fucking fascinating, man. Like, okay, signs immediately like a photo. What's that, right? And the idea of a mage being the person who needs to be the one doing this, interesting enough. But then when you see later on in the episode the actual instance that the mage was photographing Sign and Gorilla Warrior, it's like a projection in front of the mage. It's so wild. Like, that brings up, like, okay, what Sign is holding here, this locket with the picture, is it like a imprint? Like, is it photography the same way that we understand photography and we invented it? Because it doesn't seem like it. And if it is, like, strictly magic and, like, capturing that moment on this piece of metal or glass, does magic and does this photo exist after the mage would die? Does magic itself exist? And we've seen barriers exist for so long. It's so cool. I'm
not
I'm
convinced
mind
that it's
blown.
tangible. I'm not convinced that it is on anything. I'm going more with holographic image. I'm going more with, like, he put it into the locket because how else are you gonna carry it? Because
Yeah.
it's literally just in the air.
Like you cropped it into an oval and then, like, put that projection onto
like-
the locket.
Just like went up behind the thing floating in the air and just like
Yeah.
captured it, you know?
Put like a theoretical magic, like, double-sided tape on the back of it and locked it to the locket.
We know that this is rare now, though, still. Because Stark was like, oh, wow, a photograph. Like, that's rare.
Yeah.
Is this, like, some really high-level magic? Is it a specific spell
Can Frieren
that
do
isn't
it?
shared very often? You would think that if Frieren could do it, we might have already seen an instance where, and even in reference to the photo here, we would have seen a flashback to
Yeah.
Frieren learning how to do it or utilizing it herself.
Man, the mage who's going city to city offering photography, that
Brilliant.
person's awesome.
They-
I
I
love
mean,
that person.
Do you think they're getting paid for it, or they're just doing it
I don't
for...
I don't think that Gorilla Warrior and Sign right here have money, you know, to be.
But wouldn't it be cute if Guerrilla Warrior, like, secretly paid him with his allowance or something?
Oh, that would be cute. But in my mind, then it connects to, like, those people at beaches who run around and try to sell you photographs in those little, like,
Oh.
telescopes.
Well, if you were the only person who could do something like this,
Man.
you would want... I would think that you should make money off of this. if
Yeah,
you could
but,
do
like,
it.
just, I imagine just this good-natured mage who's, like, trying to spread the joy of, like, remembering people, you know?
Well, this serves the purpose of making it so I don't have to know what was in the grimoire that Frieren chose from Lord Orden's library, because I was like, what interesting spell or tidbit of history is she going to be picking out
Yeah.
of this library? But they gave us that in the form of this mage that can create photos, and I'm like, yay, magic in this world is so fun.
Yeah. I have no idea if I expect Gorilla Warrior to be alive or not. I have no idea. I could go in circles forever trying to, like, logic my way into one way or the other. Like, knowing tropes, you know?
Right. Because of the opening and us thinking that that was him at, like, before this
But we saw
episode,
it.
Yes, that's what I was about to get to, was that before we saw this episode, I took that as a sign that he was alive. And now, I'm like, oh, well, now we are seeing the statue. He would have been standing in front of it again as an adult, where there was one also in Sign's village close by for them to stand in front of his kids. Sign is now following in Guerrilla Warrior's footsteps, much like what Frieren is doing with this journey, following in the footsteps of her party that has passed on.
Yeah.
So now I'm leaning more towards him not being alive.
But then you could be like, okay, but they wouldn't give us a town name and a potential reason for Sign to split off the group and for him to do that if it was for a dead end.
Is it a dead end, or is it him possibly coming upon a grave or a memorial or a statue or some type of sign that Guerrilla Warrior was still remembered within that town?
Man, I cannot believe that it was Kraft. That is so cool. That is such a cool connection to have in this world.
So he has become a monk. We know that he, at some point in his life, chose to believe in the goddess because he needed to. Was that at the point in his life when he lost all of those people that would remember who he was? All of his friends passed on? That he went on his own journey, similar to Frieren, of wanting to believe in that place where the souls go to rest and wanting to think of the dead and remember them? Was that when he transitioned from warrior to monk?
Maybe. It's so fascinating though, right? Like knowing that the statue's been here and like the real life presence of Kraft has infiltrated our party. Privy to meeting Sign and his story, but that is connecting Sign with Heiter, with Kraft, with, Guerrilla Warrior.
And just the little nugget of Kraft saying that no one remembers what he did or who he was, and then we see this statue, and because we've met him, we're able to put a name to it. It's the living on remembering people. That's the whole theme of this episode, is like what is the line? Carrying on memory.
And the idea of just like, we're bringing this name back up next to this woman. She could spread it within the village as well, and then we have one of the two like remembered even fondlier because we have a name to attach to it. Since we're here, there was a mind-blowing line in reference to the statue that I really wanted to like reread. Okay, right? We're finally done talking about cleaning the statue. That was a lot of work. And then Frieren says we could have used magic if it were a bronze statue.
Right, because she only knew a spell for cleaning bronze statues.
Need I elaborate? Like, come on. That's so wild. I asked Gorilla to polish it too.
It brings you back to when she cleaned the Himmel statue.
It brings me back to like just the science behind the spells and like knowing like the etymology of like the basics of the spell to build and how you can't just change it because you want to and you think it'd be applicable because both are a statue. No.
The actual principles to the spell, you'd have to understand, like in the real world, you're not going to clean one metal or material with the same cleaner as you might clean something else because the chemicals might be too harsh. It might deteriorate faster. It might oxidize. Like,
so good.
It's very real.
I liked during the beginning of the episode, Fern's crossing like a riverbed on a log and she gets surprised a little bit and then it pans out and you see Stark like offering a hand to help her down. That was an amazing moment.
And then after that, you see them kind of behind having a nice little chat and Fern is like smiling and then Stark smiles and his eyes closed and I'm like, they are so pure.
Dude, Vol has got to be one of the coolest characters in this entire series.
In the entire series?
Yeah, I mean, like, not only, like, okay, we were given probably, like, 13 minutes of Vol, right? 13, 14, maybe even less. And they did so much for me, for Vol. Like, I immediately love him with the act of being senile and then being able to teach that lesson into Stark, and it hits me back with fooling demons and like and everything that Frieren was talking about with her own aura and mana, you know, and suppressing it, and that being a connection, and then the idea of him giving training to Stark and like advice to him and trying to help him improve, but far and away the best part of him was like what his reasoning was for protecting this village and how he was talking about his wife. I gotta find the lines specifically.
Should we take a little quick thing to get there to those lines?
We could. I couldn't adequately describe her face or voice or eyes. Like, knowing that that's why he wouldn't talk on and like, you know, expand on what his wife was like because he couldn't do it adequately enough.
But
was
also
one of the
the
most
next
beautiful
line.
things.
The next line is beautiful too because there's a selfish nature to it. It is my memory alone. This is precious to me. I am possessive over this. This is my beautiful wife, the woman that I loved, and I want to be like, I want to keep this hostage. This memory is my treasure.
Yeah.
And that is also very romantic.
Man. And like it being said to Himmel, right? Like, we know that the wife was human, Himmel was human, and Vol's able to live up these 400 years, and the life expectancy was 300, just like Frieren on the other end of it is not a human.
Not a human.
Yeah. And it just I love the selfish nature of it too. It's just so wonderful.
Because there's something not selfish about this idea as well. It's both of those things. That idea of it is beneficial to the human or the person who has passed, that their memory lives on within someone else. It's what people want before they die. They want to at least know that they will be remembered and thought of by someone, even if they're not going to be immortalized in bronze in a statue. They want to know that they will live on in the hearts and memories of others that are still alive. And so you're both doing something that benefits that person, but you're also getting to carry that yourself, and it's selfish to want to like keep that to yourself. And it's sweet and romantic, but also in a platonic way for friendship. It's precious.
Yeah. But it's all, and like, think about the reverse of that selfishness when you're like imposing that will onto somebody else. Like, Himmel is saying like, oh yeah, these are the people who will remember me, and then it just being, oh, elves live longer. Oh, Frieren's going to be the one who's going to be responsible for that then. There's like this selfishness of like wanting to be remembered, but it comes from like the sweetest like place imaginable.
But his next line is, "Let me show you my catalog of poses."
Yeah.
So you can in that memory that you have of me that you take on into the future, you will remember all of my most handsome angles. That's so Himmel.
Yeah. And you have to like acknowledge that it comes after hearing like about the memory of the looks of Vol's wife, you know?
And then Frieren, after she brings up this memory, says out loud to Vol, "Oh, what a waste of memory. I can't believe I actually sat and watched that catalog of poses."
So great. I got really sad, but then really like accepting when Frieren was having the conversation with Vol on the rock side, and Vol was saying, like, being like, "Oh, yep, I know you're gonna defeat the Demon King," and like that acknowledgement on Frieren's end of like trying to understand the line of where acting senile was versus where Vol is at right now mentally.
He brings up that this is the end of his life, and he
said that 80 years ago.
Yeah, but 80 years ago he said that he couldn't adequately describe his wife's looks, but now he says he can't truly remember her eyes and the look on her face.
At least he got a dream out of it.
And then he got a dream, and my little heart fluttered. That made me so happy.
This show could not get better. Like, it just can't.
I think it could. Not because it needs to, but I feel like every decision that is made in this show makes it, like, surpass what I originally thought was the best thing ever.
Okay, you have a point. Man, it's like even going back and like rereading the lines, once we cross this bridge and we walk for about a week, we'll get to Auburst, and like the second that's said from Frieren, we see signs like back of his head, which is definitely a foreshadowing of where he might diverge. Do you think he will?
I think that he should. I think that this is the adventure he originally set us up with. The only reason he is joining us is to hopefully find his friend, and then he will separate from us and go adventure with his friend. The friend is who he wants to adventure with. That is what he feels is the purpose. He's here hoping somewhere in his heart that his friend is still alive and will accept him with open arms, and they can live this adventure together like they dreamed as kids.
Yeah.
And I feel like for him as a character, not for me as a viewer wants them to stay together and as a group find Gorilla.
Yeah.
But if I'm thinking about what's best for the actual character and who they are, it is best for him to make this decision to go after this lead and not to hold up Frieren, Fern, and Stark with what their mission is and what they are trying to do with their journey.
I think I'm in the same boat as you. I don't know if it would go in a direction like, oh, we'll make a detour or whatever, but
that's why they painted it as far as they did. That it's as far away as they did.
Yeah. I like in my mind I'm like it would make me sad, but I wouldn't be like upset if Sign left because I know of what the purpose would be to him.
Yeah. They really did set it up at the beginning of the episode. Oh, let's go on this quick little detour to this village. And so they do. They show us that there is a difference between what would be seen as a week detour or like a little village down the road in comparison to going in the complete different direction than Allburst.
You know, you often hear the sentiment of like people live on through your memory or through you talking about them. This might be the only show I've ever seen that makes me believe it. The only like piece of media or fiction that talks about that message that breaks that wall for me. I truthfully, like even thinking about like funny moments like the goateed priest and on like initially Frieren's like, did you even have a goatee when you came up with that name? But that being like a bridge that Hyder was the one to suggest the name before he had that goatee. It's like how intersecting everything is and all the characters and how life is. Like even for the nameless priest next to Kraft the monk, he was alive. Right. Here in this episode.
That was my favorite part of the episode because what the conversation is at that moment is they are looking at the person in the statue, in the duo, that Gorilla Warrior had said was like him, gave himself a memorable name like Gorilla. The first person we recognize in the statue itself and give a name to is that same person, and that is Kraft. The other is still nameless. The one that represents Sign is still nameless until the old stubborn woman turns to him and says, "Goatee priest."
Yep.
That moment and what that means and using Kraft and the unnamed man in the statue. Ooh.
It's so good.
So good.
I also think I found a moment that like if this is a manga, this is a panel that I would need framed in my house. Frieren says, sorry, Himmel or Hyder could have gotten her to open up in half a day. And then Fern says, but our party only has socially awkward members. Like, it's just the truth. That's just how it's accepted.
I feel like Sign is maybe the least socially awkward of them.
But he's still there. I love it. I love this, like, band of this party. I love them so much.
Oh, this is too good. This show is too good. I just to sum up everything that was so good, I did say that statue thing was my favorite scene, but the lines of Vol being the reason that Frieren decided to get to know Himmel and the others, but then Himmel was the reason that Frieren decided to get to know people.
Yeah.
That, in this episode too, was really beautiful.
Man, I'm looking at my phone because it's just like the Frieren wallpaper, and I'm like, it's not enough Frieren in my life. Like, I need more, like, physical examples of the show.
I could totally see them making a really cute plush, like, stuffed animal of Frieren, making one of her cute, funny, like, no, don't talk about me that way faces, like a, ooh. Yeah. Like when Fern's mad at her, I could see like a little like plush stuffed animal version of that. There'd probably also be some really cool figures that would be made of Frieren.
I agree with that. Even them like doing mundane tasks of them like harvesting crops for this town was so fun to watch, like, and how the magic was utilized.
It's about the adventure.
Yeah.
And not all of an adventure is fighting monsters. We have to remember, like, think what we saw of actual fighting in this episode. We didn't actually see the fight. But we saw lifting the carrots out of the ground and putting it into a wagon and talking to a farmer about how they don't have enough people in this village to help out. But then when we're fighting different monsters with Sign and with Vol, it's just a quick shot to the monster already being dead.
Yeah. Do you think that Gorilla Warrior was traveling alone, like all like up until the like? Do you think he's still alone, or do you think he would have his own party by now, if he was alive, or if he is alive?
I feel like he would have thought of it in the same way that Sign is currently thinking about it. Like, you are not the end-all party of mine.
Yeah.
You are not the one that I want to have this adventure with. That kind of idea of, like, not wasting your memories.
Mm-hmm.
Why would Gorilla Warrior want to take up all of his memory space and all of his cool adventures and fun stories that he's creating? He sat with Sign and listened to Heiter tell all of these stories of the hero's party. He wants to amass that catalog of stories, but it be him and Sign's stories, not him and some other group of people before he met up with Sign.
Yeah. Man, I'm just like skipping through the episode.
You're gonna have to leave it eventually.
I'm sorry. Old Man Vol is so cool, and like it's so cool to see like our current party literally in the same spot as Frieren's past party.
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
You're gonna have to.
I know. I want him to like see Kraft again and like ask him about his adventure.
Well, who knows?
Right.
Maybe we'll bump into him again. Probably not next episode. That might be a little too soon for the pacing of this show, but maybe someday.
I can't decide yet if I could have like any fictional in my mind like piece of memorabilia or merch from Frieren. What would it be so far? Like one of the go-tos is like the bracelet, right? The ring's definitely up there, but like the idea of the statue that we see in the intro of the original 4 adventurers, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
A locket with Sign and Gorilla Warrior, that'd be great. So many good ones.
He'd just like be wearing a locket and people would assume that like I was in that locket, and he'd be like, no, actually it's these 2 small anime children. Like, you couldn't actually like wear that.
Yeah, you're right. But like it existing.
Yeah.
It could. All right. I guess that's all I have. I don't want to stop talking about it. You good?
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.